In SolidEdge version 20, we're introducing zones. Zones are permanent design envelopes that enable designers to isolate areas of large assemblies. It enables us to focus on a particular area of the design for which maybe we're responsible without having the overhead of loading the entire assembly. So here we have this larger assembly that we've used in previous examples, and you see that we have some zones created. And so we're going to imagine that it's our responsibility to design the conveyor system. And so I'm going to open this assembly using the conveyor zone which we defined earlier. Now that we have the assembly opened with the zone, what we want to show you is how you can edit the definition of the zone just by simply right mouse button clicking on the zone box and changing the option from inside to overlapping. This is going to show us more components as anything that overlaps our bounding box for the zone is going to be applied to the zone itself. Now it's very easy to change the size of the zone box by selecting the Modify Size step, selecting a face of the zone box, and moving it to some key point. In this case, I'm going to be moving it to the bottom of the leg. Change the option back to inside. You can see that now we've added more components by resizing our design envelope or zone box. We can apply another zone if I want to just select a zone from the Select Tools entry in the edge bar. Just by right mouse clicking and selecting the Show Components, it will now load the components that are within that bounding box for the robotic stack. If I zoom out here, you can see the other components that were added. Now you can display or hide the zone box at any time. In this case, I'm showing the zone box, or I can graphically select it on the screen and hide the zone box. So the next thing we may want to look at is creating a zone. So I'm going to load all of the rest of the assembly components by just selecting Show All on the top level assembly. So now we may wish to imagine that it's our responsibility for the case assembly stage, and so we'd like to build a zone for that particular area of our assembly. So to find a zone box, you simply go to the Select Tools tab again, select the Create Zone, and begin selecting parts graphically on the screen. And these parts are going to represent the extreme boundaries of our zone box. Once we're satisfied with our selection, you can see that it displays the design envelope or the zone on the screen. At this point, we can give that zone a particular name. In this case, it's going to be the case assembly zone, and we're going to select components inside the zone box. Notice also that it's no respecter of subassemblies, that any parts, even from a subassembly, that fall within our zone are going to be applied to the zone when you select the Show Components. You can see the zone boxes are still turned on. There's also a global switch for turning those zone boxes on and off, and that's under the View pull-down menu under Zones. And so now we're ready to focus in on the case assembly stage, which again is our focus or our responsibility for the overall design of this machine.